Coming to you from Second Floor Studios in Dallas, Texas, it's the Small Business Living It Podcast with Dean Castelhano. All right, welcome back to the Small Business Living It Podcast with Dean Castelhano. I'm the producer of Wes Castellano, but of course the host, my father, the Papa Bear. Dean, how are you, Dad?
Hey, Wes, good to be back up at Second Floor Studios. I think our last deal with Bruce and Sean
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of people listened. I got a lot of comments. I also shared that on Facebook, and even guys were business networking around that one. So that was kind of fun. What are we going on YouTube now? Or?
Yeah, so officially, so for Second Floor Dallas has its own YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're technically recording video now, but what I like, most people seem to get their podcasts. They don't go through Apple or Spotify. If they do, they go through that, but it's a lot easier if you have the YouTube open, click it. So good. Drove a lot more traffic.
Well, and so I'll do that, and I'll post a link on Facebook. However I do that, you'll coach me up, but we'll see if we can expand the audience that way. I think we'll have a big response to this one. Part of the theme of this is business networking, and it's all been driven by the loss of one of our, the pillars, if you will, of the Dallas commercial real estate community, Joe Foster. He died March 1st. He was 89 years old.
Would you say he's the godfather?
For sure.
Not me.
Tell me about him, the best networker.
Okay.
So what he did is, anyway, I'll kind of get into that, but we've all of us in the commercial real estate side of things, particularly what I would call the small business guys, the guys that own their own shops, are independent brokers, money guys, and some institutional guys, but even had lawyers come and developers, and it was always a breakfast.
Right, that's the Ben's group you were talking.
So we continued to, it evolved. I can't even remember at the end what morning we were going, whether it was Tuesday or pretty sure that was Tuesday. But Joe, as far as Grand Mortgage is concerned, relationship with Joe Foster goes back to, we think, the late 60s.
Oh, wow.
When you met Joe Graham.
Okay, so you got the two Joes.
Yeah, and there wasn't even Graham Mortgage yet. It was Joe Graham was working at IDS Mortgage, or no, probably even before that. It was.
Are those guys still around?
No. Okay. That was a REIT. No, but I believe it was more the life company out of North Carolina, and I'll get there. Jefferson Pilot Life.
Yeah.
So Joe was a branch office for Jefferson Pilot Life. Joe Foster, who was a broker, mortgage guy, did pretty much everything. And I think they met in the late 60s. Jerry Donahue, who worked here, would go to the breakfast. And then when I came on, I would go to the breakfast. And the reason that I mention this is because what Joe Foster was able to do was create this, I would call it, lane of networking.
Right.
For the guys of us in the industry, and particularly when I came to Graham Mortgage from Northmark.
Right.
I think going to those breakfasts really plugged me into what the people I needed to know.
Right. It was almost like the LinkedIn, but would you say that, but in person specific?
Yeah,
in the niche?
Yeah, it's the old fashioned
regional. Yeah. So my first question though, where was the breakfast at?
Oh, it's at Dallas Country Club, so
Okay.
That is always fun.
Okay.
We went through some iterations of the clubhouse, some places, but toward the end we were in a bigger room. We still go, by the way.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like some greasy spoon.
No, this was
legit. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, he's Dallas Country Club. Joe Foster is known for a lot of things. Well, first of all, it was always fun to go to the country club.
Right.
The food was great. The view was great. He was always a gracious host. His daughter, Angelique, would arrange it.
Oh, cool.
And we go at 7:30, we'd stay an hour, maybe to 9 o'clock. And there was a kind of a rotating roster. But there's so many people there, and I'm going to name some of them. Jim Struble. I met George Watson there. George Watson's one of the most influential.
Right. So how big was
I
the
know.
group?
6 to 10.
Oh, okay.
And when I'm sitting here thinking about him and those breakfasts, I think about people I haven't seen in a while: Dan Lavitan, Jill Kotvitz. We all kind of knew each other through the breakfast,
Right.
Created friendships, business relationships. Again, George Watson became one of my best mentors and clients.
Right. So it sounds like, yeah, you went in starting off as, business minded, but then developed as more than just, like you said, it's a win-win. Your philosophy of North Bar Fair, not, I'm sorry, Graham, the win, everybody benefits.
Yeah,
So
we're calling that old-fashioned relationships.
Yeah,
These were
so-
deep relationships.
Yeah.
They were personal.
So it started off as business and then it's friends. So then it kind of those mix well together.
Yeah, I would say it's mostly business, but the trust is developed when you're there. It's not necessarily over cocktails. It's not
Not that old school. Yeah.
It's not kind of like guy talk, if you will, or girl guy talk. It's more like business talk, helping someone where they needed to be helped.
Okay, cool. So like as in, so if radio we would call them music confabs. We were all the artists and DJs and we would all meet up. And there was one in Charleston that would always meet up, and that's how you networked, where it's like, yeah, they were friends, but it's like, hey, I got a guy in Atlanta, give him a call or something like that.
So I think this was a little bit more. It wasn't as broad as that. It was a little more targeted. Say there were 10 or 12 people who were always there supporting each other.
Okay,
cool. Or sharing ideas, or how are things going in the market. But I think the magic of it was the longevity.
Yeah, because if you're going all the way from the late 60s and it's so we're
It was 50 years plus. I don't know if he was doing the breakfast, but certainly he's been doing the breakfast. He was doing the breakfast for 20 to 30 years.
That's awesome. And I think there's something about you with in Dallas, especially between your fantasy football, has been going on since.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's cool. So it seems to be in Dallas there is a group. There seems to be the interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
Over than just hey, I liked your LinkedIn profile. Like
yeah, I've always, when I got here in 1982, I always felt like the business culture was, although it was competitive, everybody was always trying to help. It was always very collaborative. Everybody was rooting for everybody. That makes sense. So
right, not cutthroat.
It didn't feel that way to me.
Not like in New York.
Well, yeah, or
others. Yeah,
sure. Maybe it's other businesses or other markets, but when Philip and I went to work for him in '83, we had competitors. William Ross and his guys, Turner Robinson. I'm bringing up all these old names because it's fun to remember. We would share deals. We would help each other out.
Yeah.
So I would call us more. We were competitors, but we all had our.
Almost as like collaborators at the same time.
Yeah. We all were the same age. We wanted to do everybody's families to do well. At some point, our wives knew each other. We knew how each other's kids are. Now we're all kind of, Joe was 89, Joe Foster.
Yeah.
Joe Graham is in his 80s.
But he's got the spirit of 40-year-old.
He does. He just celebrated a birthday. He's doing, I think he's doing as good as ever at this point, and we see him every day, lucky us. But I do want to really, really emphasize that Joe Foster and the consistency that he brought to those breakfasts and connecting people really meant a lot to me, and I think it meant a lot to everyone else. And he was a unique guy. So there's some stories about him that I'd like.
When you gave me the bullet points, I go, this guy is Dos Equis' most interesting man in the world type of thing. And I mean that like the things that he did, I go, okay, go say more words. Like,
Yeah,
it sounds
I
really
think
cool.
what's funny is that he was more, I think his army background was more what he might be, it might inform his style because he could be rigid. So
Right.
we could, if he was to start a meeting or to end a meeting, I have some stories about some trips that I'll tell that a lot of people do, but I think he's most known, other than for his breakfast, he's known for a green Carmen Ghia convertible.
He had the Carangia.
He had that green. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
It's
so
around
that's
town. I think
I've seen
his
one.
family may still.
I've seen one in Turtle Creek, but I know I fell in love with it. That's what Brad Pitt drove in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it. He had a green Carangia, and I was like that up there with my original Austin Mini Cooper. The Carangia was gorgeous. Like, I really do. I think I've seen it around Turtle Creek. Is that where?
Yeah. And it might be a family member that has it that's driving it.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things about that, and we all loved him, and God bless, that he believed that because he owned the car for so long, it had to be a 50-year.
Right.
That opening and closing the door, he believed that he would wear the latch out.
Right.
So he would never close the door all the way.
Oh, I can see that.
And when he would valet park it, if he ever valet parked it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure someone can.
I wouldn't trust a 20-year-old with a Carangia, no.
So he would either tell the valet, don't slam the door, or he would park it himself, and he would just nudge the door closed, but not all the way.
Oh,
he could always walk up to the car.
Yeah.
And you could see that little gap.
Oh, really?
On the driver's side door. So that was.
I'm surprised
his personality and.
Yeah, so the Carangia wasn't a convertible though. What?
That one was.
Is that? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he was didn't hop the.
Yeah, maybe when he was.
We get a little bit younger. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, no, that was one thing, and then, later, I looked at his part of his obit, and there were some things that were mentioned that are very that I participated in. He has a lot of. There's so many things that were mentioned here, breakfast clubs, but the other one was Cloudcroft Golf, and that's New Mexico.
Okay, I was supposed to say, what is that a type of golf, or is that what?
That was like a weekend away in the mountains of New Mexico.
Oh,
and you would go to Cloudcroft, but then you would go to Mountain Gods.
Right.
And there were high altitude. The way we do it is to where did we go? Okay, we'd fly to El Paso. We'd have a bus, and then the bus would take us up into New Mexico, and we'd play golf or gamble and have a nice dinner a couple nights. And so one of the other
bonding trip.
It was great. It was really good. And at the end there, old Joe really wasn't able to play golf, but he loved to organize it and have the fellowship.
It was his Woodstock.
Yeah. Well, so when he got a little bit older, he got a little bit more rigid, and, sometimes, we're guys, we're at the bar, we're kind of, if the bus was leaving at 6 to go to dinner,
it's leaving at 6.
6:01.
You're on time, you're late type of thing.
You're gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
So, anyway, eminently lovable, really grateful for the people I met, and just want to pay, I think I said Candace, Ruben, Lee Richter, Charles Hicks, Michael Reynolds, certainly Brian O'Boyle, who took over the hosting at Dallas Country Club, and now we have a once a month Thursday breakfast that's quite a robust group of people, and it's chaired by George Watson. But Jim Struble, his moniker is the man with the square feet.
Okay.
He does industrial stuff. He's
like square feet is in like real estate square feet. I didn't know if that was like because he had a weird golf stance or something like that.
no, that's funny.
Yeah.
But no, Jim took it over, and then Jim retired, and he moved up to Fairview. Actually, for a while, he was driving all the way from almost Frisco or McKinney to come to breakfast. And then, the best title company guy in the whole world, Bill Kramer, who's still working, is of that generation. Met him through Joe Foster Breakfast, Republic Title. Shout out to Kramer.
It's funny because I hear these names, like I've either seen them or heard them. Like I'm not only just because I'm your son, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know that I've seen that name or heard that before. So these are some honchos. So
it's giants. I would say Republic Title's probably the most well-known commercial title underwriter in Dallas. We've all, title companies solve problems in real estate deals. And Bill Kramer is one of the best title legal minds in Dallas and probably maybe in the state. We've had solved tons of problems for us when we're selling properties or buying properties, lending on properties. So
he just like gets it. You just
he got very creative mind.
Yeah, he doesn't say, "Oh, let me ponder on this for a week." He just
and title insurance is literally that. It's insurance. So you're making a bet that something will or won't happen.
Right.
So your risk management brain is at play all the time, and he has a great risk management brain.
His formula in his head is pretty solid.
So like I said, so if you add this world, if you will, it's kind of close in Dallas. I'll call it Uptown, Turtle Creek, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We were all close knit. We're still pretty much in contact. We're all senior.
Right.
We all qualify for Medicare now.
Yeah. Well, if it's still around.
Most of us.
If it's still around.
Right.
Sorry.
But the legacy, though, carries on at the breakfast at the country club. It's been elevated to a kind of a higher level.
Is this the one that you met Mark Noble at? Is that the same
No,
one?
that's the Dallas Roundtable.
That's the Roundtable.
I'd love to talk about that again.
Okay,
someday.
yeah, no,
But that is once a week networking, man.
Okay.
That's like hardcore in a way that it's every week.
Right.
And it's guys in different verticals, so you're not necessarily there with the people
niche,
in your business. It's complementary businesses.
Right.
So you're trying to use your networks to leverage business for others. But yeah, that's another one. Adam's now a member.
Yeah, I was going to say congrats to Adam on that. That was just recent.
I think he's doing a great job there. But anyway,
sorry. Yeah,
this is as much just an homage, if you will, or a tribute to Joe Foster. Let me just kind of double check on Joseph Holt Foster Jr. Want to say he was, I thought I saw his birthday. I know it was 1935.
Okay.
He passed March 31st, 2025. So long life to him. Again,
did you say he was a mountain biker or?
No,
you say I remember you used to saying stuff in the mic check that
his father,
marathon runner,
leader, mentor, salesmanship club, which is a big deal here. He had his own company, belonged to the country club. For a grandfather, he loved World War II history. it's, Highland Park wrestling team. Maybe he was a wrestler at some point.
So I haven't pulled up on legacy.com. Is that what? And his I would say they have father, husband, leader, mentor, salesmanship, marathon runner.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
wow.
What do you see that's interesting there? Breakfast Club.
Lone Star Master swimmer. Lone Star Master swimmer. Let's see. Now he's in the North Texas Commercial Real Estate Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's cool. So look what's after that one.
Was it
Ruidoso, which is where we went to play golf. But what's next to that?
The green Carmen Gia convertible.
There it is.
Oh, I thought it said Dirty Martinis, but it says Dirty Martins. Guess he was known for his belt buckle, the B-1 Bomber belt buckle.
I never saw it. That's pretty interesting.
And he liked Dickies. I'm wearing Dickies right now. That's where to go. And never.
I think that might be Dickie's Barbecue.
Regardless,
Maybe.
They're both great. But yeah, never, quote, never, that's capitalized, give up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Only child.
Yeah, this is, I've, for those who can't see this, I'm like flipping my phone, scrolling, and it keeps going and going and going, which is pretty cool.
So one of the things that would be fun to consider is I did get a call from another friend, Candace Rubin, who and I reached out to Jim Struble, and we just briefly mentioned maybe having some sort of happy hour for honoring Joe, and I think that's something that we can do here maybe in the next couple months, where we get some folks together.
What was it at the Dallas Country Club?
That would be awesome.
That would be. It seems to be that's the
talk to one of the members there that maybe help us arrange that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're invited up here to the second floor, but it might be a little tight.
It's a little too small. But
yeah,
we'll figure that out. That's something that's on my mind. So. Anyway, Joe Foster, rest in peace. Again, the theme here is that a lot of the success that we've all had that were part of those breakfasts were due to the fact that they were hosted. It's kind of like family dinner, right?
Yeah.
You knew it was coming. You knew you wanted to share something. You knew you had something to ask.
Right.
We all we supported each other.
So you go in with willing to give and receive help.
Yeah,
and it wasn't you weren't afraid to ask for help, and like that's what it was there for.
Well, yeah, it was. It was. I'm going to say it was mostly business. Some of it was personal.
Oh no, I'm saying just helping business of hey, I'm
for
going.
Sure.
Yeah, because my hardest thing is to ask for help. It's kind of in the work world and business world.
Well, so that's what I think. Networking groups provide that easy access to other professionals.
Right.
So, and longevity. I mean, he did that for, I don't know how many. So I'll get some more information on that. But,
are you hitting?
So how long have we been going here?
We're probably hitting right around 30.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Okay. Yes.
So, thanks.
This was a little teaser, a little bonus episode.
Let's just say to everybody out there, if you're interested, I think a lot of you know how to get a hold of me. I'll, of course, through LinkedIn or otherwise, maybe we can organize something here to celebrate.
Yeah.
And by the way, make it a big old networking event.
Exactly. And then also kind of what we did with Pop. I'm more than happy to take second floor on the road if people want to record.
Maybe we can do some
a little tribute, what they wanted to say, and we give it to the family.
The last thing I'll say, and I almost forgot this, is that he helped me sell one of the most difficult pieces of land we ever sold. And I do want to, there's two quick stories. Maybe we can edit these in the middle. I don't know, but
yeah,
I'll put a PS on this. Joe Graham represented UT Southwestern. They bought a building from Mutual of Omaha.
Love those guys.
Joe Foster was the broker.
Okay.
Joe Graham flew to Omaha to do the terms of the deal, and he's not sure how Joe Foster got there. What we think is he drove the Carmen Ghia
Oh, wow.
to Omaha. Maybe not the Carmen Ghia, but it's all a mystery.
Yeah. What year was this?
All right, it had to be the late 70s, early 80s, something
That is
like
a
that.
trek.
Mm-hmm. So I did ask Joe, and he's like, I don't know how we got there. He met me there.
That's all you know.
And he never mentioned flying. And then there was we had this piece of property, it's an old golf course in Friendswood, Texas, down in Houston area. And it had all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems. Joe Foster drove down to the Friendswood City Hall. I'm not sure if he had an appointment or not, but he got the names of developers that Friendswood knew and might be able to tackle this problem of developing this property. And by golly, he found maybe it's the one guy that could pull it off.
Yeah.
His name is Harvey Doring, and he's still a customer at Graham Mortgage. So,
Oh, wow.
thank you, Joe Foster, for that.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, that's he got past the bureaucracy and the nightmare. Just went right to it.
He was the consummate salesman. No fear.
No fear.
Just go in there, ask for the business, and it produced an amazing result for us. One of the biggest pieces of land that we owned and one of the hardest to sell.
Yeah, well, I guess the one thing I relate how I got into radio was just showed up. Everybody asked me how did I do, just walked right in.
Put your butt in the seat.
All I said was I want to work here.
I want to do this.
And they're like, we can't pay. That's fine. That was
Working on it.
Yeah. So cheers
to Joe.
Cheers
Foster.
to Joe's. Salute.
Right, Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And again, Dad, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming up to 10 steps, 15 steps, the second floor.
Second floor.
Oh,
Keep going, Wes. Good stuff.
All right,
Thanks.
love you. All right.
Love you.
See ya.